This is Strictly Business, presented by the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. Sponsored in part by the law offices of Young Wooldridge, San Joaquin Community Hospital.
Welcome back. I'm Nathan Ahle with the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. And joining me this morning is Angel Cottrell. She's a consultant for the CSUB Small Business Development Center. And we're going to talk about crowdfunding as a small business alternative funding option. Good morning, Angel. It's nice to finally put a face to the email. We've talked many times over the past, but it's good to see you, and thanks for being here this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to talk about this topic with
All
you.
right. So what is crowdfunding?
Well, crowdfunding is a strategic approach for entrepreneurs to raise funds for their business, a project, perhaps a new product, through a crowd of people over the internet.
Okay, so something like Kickstarter, I guess, is the most famous, huh?
That is most famous. That
Okay.
is one type of platform of crowdfunding. And your crowd is made up of, usually it starts with friends and family, and then friends of friends, and then hopefully some acquaintances. And then you really hit the jackpot when you've got perfect strangers willing to invest in this idea that you have and that you've placed on a crowdfunding platform like Kickstarter or even Indiegogo. And we can talk about both these platforms a little bit too.
Okay, so why would small businesses consider this as a good method for generating revenue?
Well, it's actually a great way to raise money. And like you said initially, it's a type of alternative financing. So as we know, different types of financing can be more difficult to get. So for an example, someone that is doing a startup business has a little bit more difficulty getting traditional financing. So they need to look at an alternative route. And crowdfunding could be that way. An example of that would be a food truck business. I know of a food truck business up in the Fresno area. It's called Benediction, and that particular business used a crowdfunding platform. They used Indiegogo, and they raised $25,000 through this crowd, and then they were able to leverage that money into getting actual financing through a micro enterprise organization for another $25,000, which then gave them the amount of capital they needed to actually start this business.
Oh, okay.
So it actually shows that you have the potential to put some skin in the game. So you may not have access to all of the funds yourself. And you may not be at a position yet, or the business may not be in a position to go get traditional funding or even a micro enterprise loan. So what you could do is actually start this and begin to raise the funds that you need so that you can actually start and launch the business effectively.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm a small business, or I'm an entrepreneur that wants to start a small business. How do I do this? Where do I start? How do I set it up?
Setting up crowdfunding or setting up a small business?
The crowdfunding.
The crowdfunding piece, okay, because those are
Right.
definitely two broad topics. Well, what you want to do first is investigate the platform. Really think about what it is that you're trying to put to market. You need to know what this product or service is that you're bringing to market. So just like any other type of business, you've got to know the customer that you're going after, and you've got to know what is the problem that this particular product or service is going to solve in the marketplace. And then you can begin to investigate which platform would work best for you. Because Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and now there's hundreds of platforms since crowdfunding launched in 2009, which one is going to benefit your business or help you meet your goals the best?
Okay. So what are some of the differences in those platforms?
Well, thanks for asking. Kickstarter is the most popular, the highest campaign amount of money ever raised in Kickstarter. They still hold the record. It's $10.16 million for Pebble Watch. Now, I will tell you that best campaigns usually leverage between $5,000 and $30,000. With Kickstarter, you're going to pay a little bit of higher fees with them, and if you do not raise the full amount of funds within the time of the campaign, which usually runs 30 to 45 days, then you do not get the money.
Oh, wow.
Okay, the money goes back to the folks. You still pay a fee. With Indiegogo, you can actually raise funds over a larger period of time, and we'll sort of talk about the pros and cons of having a longer campaign time here in a second. But no matter if you fully fund the project or not, you will get those funds. but you do pay a percentage to Indiegogo as well. So, as usual, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Right.
You will pay fees for being able to do this. And each platform explains their rules and regulations for actually operating on their platform. I can tell you that no types of gambling, firearms, adult businesses, anything like that can be funded. These are more traditional things, and they're projects as well. So this even goes outside the scope of entrepreneurship, where you can see folks that are really engaged in maybe a community project that they utilize Indiegogo or Kickstarter to raise funds through that as well.
Okay. I know some crowdfunding projects use rewards as an incentive to get people to contribute to the project. What kind of rewards are typically most effective?
Well, first of all, you want to consider the cost of your rewards. What we have noticed with some business owners is that they want to give everyone that pledges $25 a t-shirt, and then they forgot to actually include the shipping costs and the printing costs of the t-shirt, so that these can get expensive. Rewards aren't something that necessarily have to be expensive, but they want to be related directly to the actual project that you're doing. So let me give you an example. This is a project that was done from community. This was done actually from art students at CSU Bakersfield. And this particular project was funded in April of 2012, and you can find this on Kickstarter. But there is a sculpture of Martin Luther King on the east side of the library. And for the incentives, those students, the first incentive, if you pledge $10, you would get a shout out on Facebook with your personal name. Okay. If you pledged $25, you got your name put in on a plaque. If you pledged $100, there was actually a small brick with your name on it. So as you see, the more amounts of money, how the awards can actually adjust and can change. But you do want to be aware that those awards can also cost you as well.
Okay. We've talked about, a food truck in Fresno and then some students at CSUB with an art project. How about some more business crowdfunding successes here in Bakersfield? Any that come to mind?
Well, right now, actually, if you go on Kickstarter.com and you look up Bakersfield, California, there are 30 different projects currently on Kickstarter right now. Many of these are more community-based projects. There is a woman actually that has an organic nursery that's working to help develop and to build funds for her organic nursery. And some of her rewards are around seeds and different packets of seeds and things like that. So there are definitely projects on there and on their local. We, as the Small Business Development Center, would like to provide more support to small business owners on how you can actually utilize a crowdfunding campaign and to help small business owners actually develop a crowdfunding campaign if they're having difficulty funding a new product, trying to bring that to market, or trying to expand their business in some way.
Okay. What are some of the pitfalls? What are some of the reasons that a campaign may not be successful?
Well, as with anything, it takes a lot of planning, and then execution of that plan becomes very important. One of the things that we recommend is that you establish a campaign to run for 30 to 45 days, because you need to actually have the energy to keep that campaign going. What you're really trying to do is create a movement among others that they believe enough in what you are doing that they're willing to open their wallet. Okay. So if you do not continue to move during your movement, then it's going to get stagnant. And that's what we see what happens, is that there's a lot of buildup at the beginning of the crowdfunding campaign, and there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of attention. Social media is being blown up out of the water, and then you start to see it actually sort of fade, and the attention begin to fade. And if that attention begins to fade, then folks are not staying as engaged as they could stay. So at the Small Business Development Center, we recommend that you come up with a plan of attack for that 30 to 45 days, and then you take a look at what you're going to do to promote this campaign, not only weekly, but daily. And that way then, if it's doing better than what you expected, then you can engage your contributors and stakeholders by saying, this is how great we're doing. If it needs a little bit more oomph and you need to put some more energy into this, you know that. And because you're keeping an eye on it, you can adapt your campaign more quickly so that you keep momentum going in this movement.
So it's like a traditional marketing. You have to have a marketing plan and continue to, you can't just put it up on Kickstarter and let it go and watch the money roll in.
If you want the campaign to fail, that would be the best technique.
Okay. How about some other factors that to consider, some other things that we need to look at in terms of crowdfunding. How, maybe from an end user, I'm getting onto Kickstarter. I'm looking for some things to fund. What are the types of things that I'm looking for? Is it easy for me to pay? How do I pay it? When,
it's easy.
How does it work?
Oh, they make it easy to take your money. I don't think there's too many places nowadays, particularly with the internet, that it's too difficult to take money. It really comes down to what you're interested in, what you want to look for. There are thousands upon thousands of projects. So you can do something if I want to support a business locally, or you could do something that's on a more national scale. It's very interesting, the different things that people pull together and what works and what doesn't work. There was actually another food truck that's done in the Central Valley called the Food Fix Truck. And this particular campaign really did a good job of using their social media strategies and using Facebook. They actually did a lot of surveys by using Facebook to do that, so that they gathered interest before the campaign even began. And that way then people were actually waiting for this to launch. And so it gets people excited. I think that it makes everyone feel that they can be a part of helping a small business be successful. And I think that we, just as human beings, enjoy being engaged in the success of others. And if it's something that even touches our heart or is close to home, and we know that we're giving that support, and we can know that internally, and we can share with others that this is a good cause or a great business that you want to see launch, I think that it just in itself gives people a lot of pleasure. It also is something that, for many times, so many of us think that you need to be a large venture capitalist to make a difference in small business.
Right.
And this really lays the ground for the playing field to be a little bit more level. And it gives every single one of us that are interested in supporting our local entrepreneurs and being successful a way to help them without breaking our bank, but supporting theirs.
And how do real quick before we wrap up, how does the Small Business Development Center help? How can they help these entrepreneurs?
We can help you from the concept of idea all the way into launch. We also we have associate consultants that are students at CSU Bakersfield. I'm also the outreach coordinator for the School of Business and Public Administration. And so what we do is, because so many of these students are involved in high levels of technology and love social media, we engage students as well to help support the business owners with some of the back end work that this takes to launch this and help keep these social media campaigns engaged. So we can help you from coming up with the idea all the way to choosing your platform and setting the campaign up and helping you, cheerlead you along so you can get through that 45-day campaign successfully. Okay.
Well, Angel, thanks very much for coming in and talking about crowdfunding. I know the Small Business Development Center does some great work, and it's a great resource for our entrepreneurs. So thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Have a wonderful day.
You as well. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the closing bell.